How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the WTS podcast, WetzTalkSports podcast, with my good buddy, as always, Richy. Richy, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Mike? What's going on? We're back.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Wait, am I taking pictures? Oh, man. Yeah, it's been a while, so thankfully we're back. Gonna have a very short episode today, but NBA-centric. We're going to be talking a little bit about the bubble and the playoff games that's happening here, and give a little bit of our thoughts on overall of what's happening in the bubble so far. But yeah, before we get into the show, I just want to mention a few things that happened. Rich Masai, there was a video that came out yesterday with Masai Ujiri, the president, GM of the Toronto Raptors, with his case going on stemming back to last year's NBA Finals when he had an altercation with the security, like a police arena officer, I guess you could call it. And video came out of the officer being really aggressive with him. Yeah, and thankfully that came out because the officer was suing Masai for reparation and damages and stuff like that, and saying that Masai a whole bunch of lies, basically. If you want to read up on it, check it out. It's definitely something that's timely with what's going on in society right now, and in the political climate with Black Lives Matter and social injustices and all that. So yeah, definitely read up on it. Thankfully that came out, and Masai put out a very powerful statement, and saying basically that all this happened because of one thing, and that's because he's black. And the NBA draft also happened last night. Rich, you weren't aware that the draft was happening last night, did you?
Actually, I wasn't aware because I was actually trying to edit something, okay. And it took me by surprise when you guys said the Knicks, man, and I'm what happened again? I kind of lost it there. I'm I lost track of when the draft was.
Yeah, I kind of did too, because everything is basically happening kind of on the fly. Even during that presentation last night with the NBA draft, Adam Silver came out and even had to mention let's pump the brakes, because even though we have the playoffs going on in the bubble right now, because we just needed to get the season done with after playing about 60 games, it really didn't make any sense to scrap the season. So they figured out a good way to actually go back into the bubble and get the season back underway to complete the season. But he actually even said on the air, pump the brakes, we're not thinking even about resuming the new season by December, because they want to have an atmosphere where they could actually let fans come back into the arenas. So we may not have a new NBA season until 2021, and there's going to be a few things to reconsider as well, as far as collective bargaining agreement, how these players are going to get paid, because there has to be some readjustments and restructuring to that. So after this playoffs is done, after the season is completed and we crown a new NBA champion, we'll see. Or, well, let me not say new NBA champion, because Toronto still has a shot at winning the championship. We'll see what happens with the NBA come next year. And I know the draft lottery was announced yesterday and it happened, but we still don't know when the actual draft is going to happen, because all those things have to happen before. They have to figure out money-wise where we're going before we actually get into a new NBA season. So Adam Silver actually said, let's pump the brakes. Yeah. It's a little soon to be talking about, next season. Yeah. So with that being said, I just have to mention that the Knicks ended up 8th, in the 8th spot in the draft. That's pretty low. Unfortunately. Really low. Yeah, that's very low. Unfortunately, I don't think that's enticing enough to actually make any moves. I'm glad my Chicago Bulls ended up in the top 4 a slot, but it is a pretty weak draft. We don't know what's going to happen yet. A lot of experts are saying that it's going to be a European heavy draft, so probably a lot of players that we don't know anything about that's going to be in the NBA come next
Yeah.
year. But again,
I think
we
for
just
the Knicks,
Mhm.
the name that they were shouting is like Killian Hayes,
Mhm.
a point guard. He's playing in, I believe in Germany. I believe in
Okay.
Germany. So,
So-
like you said, it's gonna be like a European base kind of draft. So
Yeah, we'll see. Um, a lot of people are like, expecting the Golden State Warriors to, to make some moves with their pick, but we'll see what happens. Maybe in a future show we'll discuss like the draft lottery and theorize like what may or may not happen with that. But without further ado, let's get into like our
let's get it.
main topic. Yeah. So Richie, man, like the bubble's been going on since what, July, early July now.
Yeah,
Uh,
early July. Yeah.
we're in August now. We're in the playoffs. We have 4 games every other night for now, with the first rounds going on. Let me know, what are your impressions of the bubble so far, man? Like, what are your thoughts?
Um. Yeah, I believe like in the first 2 3 games when they had like those scrimmage and and continuing with the regular season, it was kind of slow. Like the commentators were saying, we were seeing like a defensive teams. Like it was like all about defense. Everyone was kind of rusty getting their shots.
Mm.
It was so slow. But it picked up in the weeks after weeks. It picked up. Everyone got the momentum back. And when I was discussing with you like before we started the podcast, what kind of like got us back to the rhythm of like basketball, like great basketball, like looking forward to watching the game tonight. It's basically the West.
Yeah.
Like, but in terms of the bubble, I believe like they did a good job. Like whenever you get out, you come back in, you have to, like 14 days. Like Mike Conley yesterday, they were making fun of him like he was in his room.
Yeah,
He had
was in
one more
prison,
day.
right?
So in terms of the structures, it was great. Like you if you have to get out the bubble and come back, 14 days. They gotta reevaluate you, and then you get back to the bench. So it's like a safety measure also. No guesses. I believe they're gonna have guesses in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
I believe that they have to be quarantined till August 31st, and some of them can watch the game. That's good for the players also, because like when we were talking about like mental also, like you get stuck in a bubble, it's like you feel like in a campus. Like sometimes you
Right.
gotta always think about you can't always think about basketball. Like there's a world out there also. So I believe like in terms of like each weeks they come up with different kind of like stuff that they can help the players and safety and mentally and everything. So
Yeah.
I believe like everything is great right now. Like it's like sometimes I don't even feel like there's no fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially watching it at home with like, the sound that they put in the background with that.
Yeah. They did a good job.
Yeah, it helps. It helps. Yeah, and that intensity that the Western Conference provided actually helped out a lot, man.
Oh,
Because like I was telling you, like early on, I wasn't feeling it. The quality of basketball wasn't great, especially when we were talking about it. Like the Eastern Conference, the games had no meaning whatsoever. You could see like the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they went 3-5 in the bubble. Those games, like they just didn't matter, unfortunately. And like teams like Brooklyn, went into the bubble decimated. Unfortunately, Kyrie Irving, though he was healthy, opted out. Opted out of going into the bubble. Yeah, so things like that. I wasn't really into it, but the one thing I would say, like I didn't even think that it would work, if I'm being perfectly honest. But they did a great job, man. These guys are getting tested every other day, or every day for that matter. They're taking their temperature every day. The only thing is that, yeah, the mental aspect of it is probably draining as hell, because you're confined on one campus. You see these guys every other day. Well, every day. Like you done playing a basketball game, yeah.
Hey, you done whooping these guys, and then you see them right there, like right there.
You got to see them by the pool.
Yeah.
It becomes like routine. yeah, these guys, they're professional athletes and they have routine in their daily lives, and that's how they got to where they are now because they have routine. But it's like routine in the outside world where they could roam around freely. It's not the same environment. So, yeah, I think they did a great job. And coming into the playoffs, the games really were of great quality. Outside of the last two nights where unfortunately, like, the basketball wasn't really good. I would say like the product wasn't really good. Um, they've done a great job, man. I gotta say that they've done a really good job. Shout outs to Adam Silver and the team at the NBA, man.
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to ask you, man, like what playoff matchup has really garnered your attention? How do you feel about the playoffs so far?
Dallas versus Clippers. Um. So far, I believe that's the only. I mean, Portland and Lakers also. It's 1-1. But last night was like a blowout. But I believe those two games were like most of the. I mean, like those two games are like a really, really, really got my attention. Especially Dallas and Clippers, because like they're going at each other, man.
Right. That white boy's here to stay.
That
White boy's here to stay, man.
Yeah. He's like, give me my rock. Yo, it's like he came into game 2 and then he basically said, I'm gonna win this ball game. Like, I should have won game 1.
Right.
The ref kind of messed me up. But yeah, Porzingis was kind of like they threw him out of the game. He came and said, okay, I'm gonna grab whatever I didn't give me in game 1. So this is my best matchup right now. Like, and they're playing tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game to see what happens in that game tonight. Hopefully Paul George has a better performance than what he's been putting on the last couple of games. But yeah, for me, like, I think that is the matchup. Like, I was very interested into because Dame has just shot up the chart of like my favorite player list now. I think that, well, it's not. I thought that the Portland Trailblazers had a real shot at competing with the Lakers, but with the news that Zach Collins will require surgery now to fix his ankle after a tough season that he had, he came back, clawed his way back, and from an injury, made the rotation again. Was playing really good basketball.
Yeah.
I don't think they have enough, man. Unfortunately, like when I'm looking at it, and we even discussed it, like. Yeah. Dame and CJ have to work really hard to actually score their points, and that was my biggest take from game 1. Even though they played a really good game, and they won, Dame and CJ they were working really hard for their points. Even at the after the game when Dame was being interviewed, that man was huffing and puffing like he was gassed.
He's tired.
And now he has a dislocated finger in his left hand. I don't know, man. I feel like the odds are against him at this point. Anthony Davis finally showed out last night, bullied Nurkic and Hassan Whiteside by himself. So I think it's gonna be
It's tough, man.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if it's gonna be a long series like I thought. I thought it would probably go 7. I'm gonna say 6 now in favor of the Lakers. Unfortunately. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I would like to see Dame progress, and I would like to see Carmelo progress in the playoffs, because it's a good redemption story. But I just don't see it happening. The other thing I want to say, like, I don't know if you have any negative aspects of the bubble. My thought on the refs in the bubble, like, I think they absolutely suck. I think that's one of the drawbacks from the bubble. I don't know what's happening with them. I don't know if it's because they're
bad calls.
Yeah. Sometimes. They've just been horrendous, and it's not one particular series. It's every series. Like, even the bad ones, like Toronto versus Brooklyn, like, they're just making horrible calls. And I don't know if it's just something that's happened with how the game is being played now, and they're just these like a lot more offensive fouls being called on like ticky-tack plays, like, on screens, and like it just irks me. I don't know if it's just the fact that, like, I'm just getting older and I'm used to like a basketball from the pass, or if it's just the refs being bad. I don't know if you had an opinion about that.
You think is it the pressure that they had when there's like an atmosphere, like there's fans, there's this, there's that, there's a lot of things like maybe that pressured them to call these fouls, and I mean not to call these fouls or call these fouls, or now like it's just straight basketball. There's nothing that like.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Like I feel like these calls were like for example, like Porzingis. I don't know if I'm not sure if he was. I'm not sure if that was the right decision. There was another play I was watching. I'm not too sure. There was like a clean block. They called it a foul, and was it Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah, I think Melo had one of those plays that he had a clean block, and
then they had a timeout, and then. I believe that they should have just went and looked it over, but they didn't. I'm not sure, man. I can agree that there's a shift that the referee they're not having good calls, but maybe it's like they're probably gonna progress into the playoffs, and then maybe that might change possibly. And I wanted to add also when you were talking about the Portland and Lakers, the only way that Portland is gonna stay till Game 7 if it's Pope, Kuzma, Green, if they end up doing the same thing that they did in Game 1, like, and then at one point,
Green didn't even play well. Even though I didn't stay for the second half, because
Pope did what he could.
Yeah, Caldwell Pope definitely was knocking down his shots.
Yeah.
But I didn't stay for the second. I feel like Green. I don't know if Green really scored. If you know, if I'm wrong,
everyone was contributing, but that boy, Anthony Davis, if he plays like that every night, it's over. Like you said, it's over in Game 6. By Game 6, because he has too many things that he can add on. Like he can do, like he can bully in the paint. He can shoot the three. Like, how do you guard this?
Yeah, and another
monster, man.
And another thing that, like, you know, that provided the win for Portland Game 1, aside from the fact that Dame and CJ still performed really well, was the fact that Yusuf Nurkic showed up. Like, you know, he needs to be aggressive to actually give them a chance to win. Like, there are some shots that he had on, like, pick and pops that he was just hesitant to shoot. And again, I didn't watch the second half because I saw how the game was progressing, and I'm like, yo, this is going to be a blowout. Let me go do something else productive with my time. I'm not going to watch this. Like, I think I left 2 minutes. Like, there was 2 minutes left in the second quarter, and I just tuned out of the game. And I was
it was nothing there. There was nothing there.
Like,
they were just like bullying these guys.
Yeah, so like you kind of had that feeling, and I've been watching basketball long enough to like see how a game is progressing and see how the players are responding. Like, if I was wrong, like, you know, I've been wrong before, because that's, you know, comebacks happen in the NBA all the time. Golden State have shown that all the time, that they've been down 20 at a half and they come back and they win the game by 20. But I don't know.
Not coming back also, like Lillard was when he got that fractured.
Yeah, left.
He never came back, so I was like, yeah, there's nothing there. Like, there's nothing to generate the offense, like to get him back on track. You know, like Lillard comes back and he gets three points, and it gets the team going. But it didn't happen. But yeah, definitely the negative aspect of the bubble is the refs.
Yeah,
the ref and not having fans, obviously.
Yeah, obviously with no fans is tough. Like, you could read Mike Budenholzer's lips in Game 1 for the Milwaukee Bucks. He was like, "Damn, we need our fans right now." Like, you know, that's how bad the energy was for the Milwaukee Bucks. But I guess we could transition into that you know, that last topic, that final topic. Like, are you at all concerned for the Milwaukee Bucks? You know, progressing further into the playoffs.
I'm concerned for Bucks versus Heat. That's the only concern I have, because every time they play against the Heat always gets the best side of them. And coming into the bubble, they have not. I mean, Giannis is doing this thing, but collectively, they have not progressed. That's the word. They have not progressed. Like, they're playing well, but they haven't showed me why I believe that they will win the championship. Like, for example, Dallas has progressed. Rockets progressed. Lakers are like breaking even right now. Like they're getting their mojo back.
Yeah, that first loss was a wake up call.
Yeah, Clippers also. They're just breaking even right now. The only team that has been progressing is Dallas Mavericks. Bucks has not. They haven't progressed coming back. They're just playing well. They're just getting by. And I believe that loss maybe like it's a wake up call. Like guys, okay, we're definitely gonna close these guys out, but hey, it's gonna get tougher. We're gonna get to play against the who they might play next.
It is Miami because that's the thing. That's the 4 and 5. Wait, no. Is it?
I believe.
Yeah. That's the 4 and 5 matchup. Yeah, that's the 4 and 5 matchup.
I'm concerned for them. I'm not concerned for them for the series against the Orlando Magic, but I'm concerned for them moving forward. Because if you take Giannis out the game, Giannis is he's gonna get 20 points, 26 points. He might get it, but playing against the Heat, they're not gonna let him free. If you take Giannis out of the game, who can benefit? Like who's gonna step up, kinda?
Right, and that's the question. Game 1. It was a pretty bad performance overall, and I think the one player that we have to start mentioning now is being like, like he's coming into like getting into that conversation of being like a fraud for me. Like is Chris Middleton? Is Chris Middleton? Because it's like, okay, like you're showing all these like great attributes throughout the regular season, but once playoff time comes, like where are you? You're not showing us anything.
14 points game 1.
So thankfully, players like Wesley Matthews, Brook Lopez, they responded, especially Pat Connaughton. Pat Connaughton had a huge game. Even when we had our last show, I think we discussed that. Well, the last time I was on with you, like I told you I wasn't too concerned about the Milwaukee Bucks because they were missing 2 big pieces out of their rotation because Bledsoe and Pat Connaughton wasn't back. But at this point, it's like I'm not trusting these guys anymore. Like I don't trust Bledsoe whatsoever. And Middleton is getting to that point where like, okay, you're just one of these players like Tobias Harris. Like, you're gonna get paid. You play really great regular season basketball, but once it's crunch time and like once it's time to actually show up for your basketball team, you can't perform. And so I think they really made good adjustments going into game 2. They played really aggressive and faster, which actually gave them more looks at the basket and at the 3-point range, and they were knocking down their 3-point shots, thankfully. But going further into the playoffs, like I'm extremely concerned, and it's the same thing for the Clippers too. And I'm saying that as Jaylen Brown opens the scoring with a huge dunk for the Boston Celtics. Yeah, the Clippers were supposed to have that stifling defense, and it's really not showing right now. So,
yeah, it's
Yeah, we'll see how they adjust tonight. And
like you can see, like the game 2, Doc Rivers was pissed off. Doncic had an easy layup. And someone had an easy dunk also, and then he was like, "What's going on? Like, that's too easy for these guys." Like,
right. I understand that Pat Beverly is missing, but you have Kawhi, you have Paul George on the wings. Yeah, exactly. And they're a very long team. Even with Reggie Jackson, they're very long and lengthy. So like that stifling defense, I'm not really seeing it, especially like after they got cooked by Trey Burke and Seth Curry last game. Like absolutely, like they got destroyed by those two guards, man. So that was kind of embarrassing. So it'll be very interesting to see. Like a lot of people were saying, like Luka Doncic will win an NBA championship in his future, but like this kid is looking like
it's looking real.
It's looking like Giannis was supposed to be the face of the league. Steph is still up there. KD will come back, but Luka's like, listen, man, I'm here to ball, yo. Like I don't know what y'all
like scoot over. Like let me get
I'm here
let me
ball,
be in there
man.
too.
Yeah, and at 21 years old, the leadership that he's showing, man, it's like it's absolutely.
It's just
impressive.
gonna get better, Mike.
Yeah, it's absolutely impressive.
And they're only gonna add more. Like say they fail this year, they're gonna figure it out what make them what they can add with Porzingis. and it's only gonna get better. It's like you said, he's only 21, so he's gonna own the league at some point. Absolutely. It's gonna be his league.
Absolutely, and I'm very impressed with what Porzingis is doing, and how he's playing with the young guy, man.
Hey, listen, he won it out at a crappy team. That's why.
One of the biggest heists, one of the biggest basketball heights in NBA's history, man. What's his name? What's his name is up there? What's the GM's name for the Boston Celtics? Danny Ainge pulled one of the greatest heists in NBA history. It's up there, but the Kristaps Porzingis trade is one of those. Up there too. Is one of those steals, man.
He's like, oh, for Dennis Smith Jr. Hell yeah.
Have him.
Have him.
Oh man. But with that being said, Richy, I don't know if you have anything else to add, man. I don't know if you have anything that you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, one final thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Rockets for real this year? Hey, Video Game Boy is just killing it right now, but we've seen that all the past. Like, he's been killing it.
Right.
Is it different this year?
I want to say, like, I'm watching the Houston Rockets now, and I'm glad you brought this up. I'm watching the Houston Rockets now play without Russell Westbrook, and look, I understand that over the 2 years that, almost 2 years now that we've done the podcast, I've been really harsh on Russell Westbrook, and I think my criticism of Russell Westbrook have been fair. That's my opinion. It may sound biased or whatever, but that's just my opinion. But I just like the way they're playing without Russell Westbrook, even though I think Russell Westbrook will add a little punch to that team, but that spread out offense, man, and the way that what's his name? Eric Gordon is playing bully ball. Like, it doesn't matter who's guarding him. The Rockets either get a layup at the basket or a 3-point shot.
3-point shot, yeah.
That's their whole offense. Like, it's either one person is getting a layup 1-on-1 or they're getting a 3-point shot. And I'm watching the Oklahoma City Thunder play against them. And it should be a great matchup, and I still think it is. Chris Paul even said that he hasn't shown up in the series yet, and he has to show up for this team to have a chance to actually win. But trading 2 for 3, Rich, it's tough, man. I'm watching these guys, and I'm like, bruh, I feel bad, man. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like, yo, Gallinari, like, they're working hard, dropping these twos, and then
it's gonna be tough series.
Back-to-back threes, man, and it's like, trading 2 for 3 is tough, man. It's tough. What do you think?
With the Rockets or?
Yeah, the Rockets. I think this is their best chance yet. I think this is it.
Yeah, this is definitely their best chance of winning it. James Harden's playing his best basketball. He's balling. He's up there. He's on the list. He's on the top 3 list, right, for MVP. I mean, he's always been in the list. Yeah, he should have always been in the list. He feels great. Russell Westbrook is great also. He's ready. I feel like as soon as he comes back, he's gonna ball out. It's their best chance. I feel like the NBA this year, with that bubble thing, with all the COVID and everything's going on, the new ways, like no fans, no home court advantage. Hey, that's your best chance right now.
This is
Clippers are not playing well. Lakers are not playing that well. Keep on progressing. Like you said, it's their best year. It's their best chance.
And I think that's the next matchup, if I'm not mistaken. I think it would be
Lakers Rockets.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Is it? Or is it versus Denver? I'd have to double check that before. But yeah, man, they're playing and the role players really finding confidence right now is absolutely crucial for them. Like Jeff Green, NBA journeyman, is actually playing really, really good basketball when he's on the floor, he's like basically playing as a center for them.
He's a veteran.
The only thing I think the Lakers are the next matchup actually.
Yeah, because the Rockets finished 4th.
Yeah. So what I'll say is that the Lakers have to use their size, and they're extremely big, and that's provided a lot of problems for them, like when they match up throughout the season. But we'll we'll have to see when that comes.
That's an interesting. If that happens, if they get to play against Trent, that's an interesting lineup.
We'll see. Like if Tyson Chandler finally gets off the bench, I highly doubt it.
Maybe, never know.
Mike D'Antoni like sticks to his guns, and he was like, "Yo,"
until he loses. Like, I'm losing with my guns. So.
Oh man. Yeah. So man. I don't like. Is that all? That's all.
Yeah.
Really all right, man.
It's gonna be more.
Yeah, pretty short episode. Just wanted to really talk about the NBA bubble right now. The refs absolutely atrocious. Hopefully they get better. But I think we're going to be moving out of the first round pretty quickly. I'm expecting the Celtics to be up 3-0 tonight. Toronto is moving on by Sunday. If they know what's good for them, like I think they should just close this thing out, just to move the playoffs along. But yeah, that's all I have, man. That's all I have. Rich, thank you so much, bro.
No problem. Anytime, man.
Yep. As always, man, I know it's been a while since we recorded. I haven't been in this space, like I was saying at the beginning of the show, like I wasn't really watching sports or paying attention to sports like that, with the whole pandemic going along, and I've only been paying attention to like the past 2-3 weeks now, like the last month or so. I was watching a little bit like soccer. I was definitely back on soccer, very much so. Basketball, like over the last 2 weeks, I've been really starting to pay a little bit more attention to basketball, and I'm kind of glad we got it back, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm kind of glad because I was just watching YouTube
watching
YouTube basketball videos, man. That's all I've been doing. But yeah, man, as always, thank you guys for tuning in, man. If you're back with us, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. See you guys next time.
All right. Peace.